Are you wondering why? Somehow, your stretching is not making you flexible enough? Do you struggle while stretching yourself? Do you cringe, grimace, just to tolerate the stretch intensity you're applying? If this is you, then you are on the right channel. Stretch reflex or the myotatic reflex is one reason why your stretching is not working to make you more flexible. And this is our topic of discussion right here, right now. This is not for you if you are looking for in-depth Guyton physiology explanation approach. The goal of this video is to help you move better and stretch better. This is not meant for you to sit for hours to pass an exam. After watching this video, you will learn immediately practical and common sense application of stretch and make use of stretch reflex more to your advantage to improve functional flexibility better than most people around you. Is that fair enough? If this is you, smash that subscribe button below and click the thumbs up as well. For more valuable updates, click the bell as well, so I can remind you of new uploads that will optimally disrupt the way you design your healthy lifestyle. Good day and welcome to Stretch the News. The assumption of active isolated stretch method of Aaron Mathis that the stretch reflex is activated if the stretch continues for more than 2 seconds is actually overrated and was not medically accepted to be the main mechanism of action. Most AIS practitioner claims that this particular type of stretching could bypass or trick the stretch reflex from being stimulated. To conclude, the length of time that the stretch is held for has nothing to do with whether the stretch reflex is activated or not. This update is brought to you by the Journal of Exercise Physiology, article dated April 2019. For more details on this review, the link is available on the section below. Believe it or not, your body is equipped with tools other than white blood cells that protect you from germs and bacteria. Obviously, the one tool you want to focus on today is the proprioceptor subgroup reflex, specifically the myotatic reflex or the stretch reflex. Within each of your muscle belly, the stretch reflex organ exists, acting as protective mechanism. Stretch reflex keep you safe for any unnecessary change in body position or posture. If you have experienced a physical checkup, the knee jerk reflex is a good example. It's an assessment to check your proficiency of your stretch reflex. Doctors do this maneuver by lightly tapping your resting kneecap with a neurological hammer. And to be considered to have normal stretch reflex reaction, a moderate to light, short, and quick movement should be expected from your testing knee. So how does stretch reflex influence your stretching exercise? Stretch reflex detects and sensitive to change in length and velocity. Remember that, length and velocity. A sudden change in your posture, stretch reflex quickly activates and brings you back to your accepted and safe position to keep your balanced posture. And this is happening in our daily life. Or else you might be walking like you had a drink too much. In stretching that emphasizes isolation, stretch reflex is always the initial obstacle that you are encountering and challenging. It is not exactly about the current length of the soft tissue that you want to elongate. Listen carefully because this is very important. You don't hear this in any other YouTube channel. In case you did, they probably speaking at their own language. Too technical to understand. Hence, I want you to watch this video till the end. I made this video as simple and comprehensively practical in order for you to immediately apply and take action. What is the use of watching this video if you only agree but not taking action? To move forward, you have to take action. And watch this again to absorb the valuable concept that I am sharing. But of course, after you take a break and move for the sake of your keeping yourself moving for health and wellness. To conclude, the hindrance from the applied stretch that most weekend warrior or beginners are experiencing are actually coming from your current stretch reflex status or state that is naturally protecting you. Your body is just trying to keep what your nervous system thought that is ideal at that moment when you started stretching yourself. And that is why, as a stretch body worker, you have to be expert on inhibiting or preventing the nervous system from unnecessary response, and that includes how you deal with your own stretch reflex during self-stretching. Keeping this in mind, you will maximize every stretch you are applying, thereby leading to your intended goals without wasting your time. Check out my How to Stretch the Right Way for proper way to exercise or proper way to stretch yourself. We are in the 21st century now, and we are going forward faster every day. Those small details that I want to share here, I know it is overwhelming. If that would be your case, then you are learning something and stretching your mindset. Being confused, being overwhelmed means you are learning something new. Keep it up. This is great for your aging brain. In my teaching, I believe that the more detailed and accurate you are, the more likely you are to get results in less time. And just to let you know, I apologized that the process to overtake your aging process and gain a steady game of self-preservation is not going to be fun and easy. Rather, a more dramatic progression of profound quality of life and wellness. What activates your stretch reflex? Stretch reflex stimulation during an application of stretch to the body will always depend upon the amount of stretch tolerance sensation. Have you ever heard of stretch threshold? Why do you think that some people with poor flexibility can tolerate the irritation coming from a stretching session, while others with the same situation have a very high sensitivity to stretching? Everybody have a different level of stretch threshold and could be also different from each part of the body. You can then conclude that it is possible for the stretch reflex to adapt gradually. What stretch less likely to influence activation of stretch reflex? A stretch that has the lowest irritation experience. So less irritation and discomfort means less activation of stretch reflex. A common sense idea. Discomfort leads to stimulation of other type of reflex, aggravating the whole process of relaxation that you need when you are stretching. Without relaxation, it leads to more resistance to stretch. A stretch that enhances blood circulation. A stretch that disrupts circulation obviously stimulates discomfort sensation during the session and more likely to increase the risk of soreness the next day or two. But of course, depending on how long you hold the stretch and the intensity of the applied stretch force. In return, you are creating the whole environment that is not conducive to effectively tone down the sensitivity of your stretch reflex. A stretch that is applied with patience and finesse. Gentle and slow stretch promote better way to deal with your stretch reflex. During an effective stretch application, you should not only concern about a single entity, which is the stretch reflex. There are other vital senses to consider in your body that is naturally protecting you. Therefore, including the whole physical state of experience could influence the area that is being stretched. That is why low stretch intensity and low speed would contribute in reducing stimulation of other protective mechanisms that may disrupt your intentional applied stretch. Urgency to aggressively elongate soft tissue happens only during clinical setting and most commonly are requirements for a competitive flexibility sports. From a speedy restoration of range of motion and to a transformation requirement, which is a process of going beyond your functional flexibility, such as a full split in gymnastics, this is not under the game of self-preservation topic.